All right, we have another day of thankful we work from home or work from the car. So, as many of you all know, there's been a lot of flooding going on. And not just flooding, I mean flooding. So our school system has closed school yesterday and today. So my son's program is on half days. And yeah, so there's a lot going on, but we're still here. We're still doing this, and I'm still showing up for you despite all of this, because when we are dedicated to making it rain in our business, we pivot. We don't stop. We don't give up. Yes, you can take a break. Yes, you can pause, but we don't stop showing up. We don't stop doing the work, because that is dedication, and really working on being dedicated to your goals and not just waiting for motivation. Motivation is this extremely tricky thing where it actually takes action to create motivation. And a lot of us, we have been trained to think, I need to wait until I'm motivated. But motivation happens when you begin and the action starts. Okay, so just want to clarify that. Now, day 4 of the Make It Rain Challenge. We're here. So hopefully you've been showing up, you've been doing the work. With day 4, we're talking about being the magnet. And this is really that positioning and how you're positioning yourself and your business to get leads, but also like, how are you putting yourself out there? And how are you putting yourself out there does not just mean social media. Okay. So here's the thing is, a lot of times what I see, and having ran a marketing social media company for a bit, a lot of times people would come to me and they were like, here, I just want to pay you to do my social media each month and solve all of my problems. And everyone thinks, not everyone, I'm generalizing, but a lot of people think that their problem is just how they're showing up on social media. And how you show up on social media works in different ways. Yes, there's the things you post, but there's also the DMs. And a lot of people are avoiding the DMs, or we're playing really small in the DMs. Okay. Now, this is not the only way that positioning happens, right? Like, you can also be out in the community, getting involved with groups, making those networks and referral networks and all of that happening as well. By being the magnet, really, truly, we're looking at your branding, and your networking should be in alignment with what your branding is. But when I say branding, so many people, again, they come back to social media and they think about their colors and things along that nature. But we've got to get even deeper than that, because really, if we were going to choose color psychology, guess what? Color psychology is based on the feelings that you want to create. So let's start with there. What feelings do you want to create? Do you know who your target audience is? I'm going to move my phone because it's probably going to overheat. Who are your target audience? Who are you trying to reach? And a lot of times that you can start with who you don't want to reach, right? So thinking about who you don't want to work with can help you get closer to who you do want to work with. And I don't necessarily mean niching, although, and I say that because so many people use this word, and it's really started to gain a negative connotation. I mentioned this yesterday for day 3 in talking about, making sure my microphone's still on, in talking about how the more specific you get, and meaning the transformation and who it's for, the more you can charge. The easier sales will be. But that doesn't mean that's the only choice and the only option. If you want to have a generalized product for a generalized group of people and we're getting generalized results, you can still do that and have a successful business, but your price point will be lower in what you're charging, because clarity is what sells. And clarity is not just the niche. Clarity is what it looks like to work with you, right? So, for example, if I was talking to you about the Business Growth Lab, and you're like, well, Izzy, what's the Business Growth Lab? I don't ever see you talk about it. How do I even know what this is, right? And you're like, well, what type of business growth? And if people are not clear, then you might not be clear enough. And what we talk about positioning is positioning yourself as the industry expert, positioning yourself as high value, positioning yourself as the go-to person for this specific arena of whatever it is that you're selling. All right. So when we talk about being a magnet, if I was to go to your social media right now, and we're just going to use social media continued, but I'm going to pop back and forth to real world versus meta world. And if I was to go over to your social media and I was to scroll, no matter if it's your personal or your business, and I want to clarify that because I get that question a lot. Can I scroll and see what you're about? Can I scroll and see what you're about? Because the truth is, if I'm scrolling and the last 5 posts don't tell me what you're about, there's a problem. If I go to your social media page and there's a picture of your dog as your profile picture, there's a problem. Okay? And I say that with love and with tough love. Because if you are really, truly ready to make it rain, you are showing up as a professional across all of your platforms. All of them. Now, when we get to utilizing strategy, which that's not really what we're going into today, but I'm going to mention it. When we get to strategy, you're going to have your primary platform and your secondary platform. And you can have a tertiary platform as well, but really we want our primary and our secondary. For most people, that's either going to be Facebook or LinkedIn, and then Instagram, and you could use TikTok or YouTube. So looking at those and thinking about, like, where are your people and how can you provide clarity to your people about not just what you do, but how what you do is a solution to their problem. Okay? Because this is a trap that people get into, is they're just posting what they're doing all the time. Right? I could post, oh, I'm in a meeting. Oh, look, I'm driving and working from my car. I just had a great strategy session with someone. And that does not provide enough clarity about how I can help them solve their solution. So if your content is extremely general, and again, you're not telling them how you can help them, then that switches up a little bit. So again, let's say I'm promoting the Business Growth Lab. And there might be confusion around the Business Growth Lab as the free community and the Business Growth Lab membership. What's the difference? Well, could you do a live about it? Could you do a reel about it? Could you talk about the problem? Like, why do they need this? Why do they need this now? And I'm going to really encourage you today to write a few headlines, and you can get the help of good old ChatGPT, but to write about 5 to 10 headlines. These headlines are going to be what is top of mind for your target audience. Now, if you're like, well, Izzy, I have a couple target audiences. Which one is going to convert fastest for you? Okay. So for example, let's say you own a restaurant and you really want to, yes, get people to come in, but what's going to sell better for you? More of like a package deal, right? A product. So you want to get in a group of people to come in, and then you're going to get 10 people to order all at the same time, and you want a regular let's say 10-party group coming in, then I'm going to go target those people. And in the process, yes, I could get all these other people to come in too. But if I'm talking to the group, I'm working smarter, not harder. Same thing, right? So if I wanted to go to a florist to promote my baskets, or if I wanted to go to corporate to build relationships for baskets, if I wanted to go to a business to sell baskets as thank you gifts, that's allowing me to work smarter, not harder. And so then I would shift the majority of my marketing to talk about that, as well as the importance of gift giving. If you have a product, think about this. You're going to be doing this nearly the same, because buyer psychology and overall working smarter, not harder generally works the same. The specifics are what changes. Okay? So if you are a coach, a consultant, a service provider, you need to think about who is ready to buy. And those are the people that you're speaking to. Again, I go over this in my Hook, Line, Sold training, which is starting on the 14th. And talking about the number one problem that I see people do is they get on social media and they get way too general. And then they get on social media and they're also just trying to teach the basics. And they're teaching the basics because they're trying to prove that they know what they know. But guess what? If you are teaching to a specific group, you are going to cover the basics, but the basics are not the primary of the conversation. All right. So again, let's talk about my business growth lab as an example, just using it as an example. I could say I want only brand new business owners who don't know what they're doing. That's still pretty general. And brand new business owners typically don't see the value in spending more on their business. So if I switched and I talked to the people who I'm like, you've paid for the coaching program, you've bought the 50 courses, you might have even done a more expensive program, and you're still left sitting and like fighting yourself and the habits and doing the core actions. Now I'm talking to someone more specific. Now, in that process of talking to that person, a person who hasn't gone through programs but maybe has been thinking about it could also see the value in that. So you're not pushing away other people. You're just ensuring that you get that certain group. As I speak to them more specifically, and again, coming back to that original thought of where am I choosing to go network? What groups am I choosing to hang out in? Strategically choosing that portion of what you're doing, so that you can truly show up and not feel like you have to be on defense. So if I was to go to a BNI group, this actually happened, and I stand up and I talk about hypnotherapy, and then I get a couple like leadership training corporate people that want to talk to me, and they keep going, well, I hope you have the evidence to support what you're doing, and you know, who are you trying to work with? And they start questioning me, and I'm like, hey, buddy, I'm working on my PhD in this. Like, there's plenty of science to support this. But that group of people didn't see the value of what I was doing. And I only had a 30-second pitch, so there's only so much science you can cover in that portion. But rather, why wouldn't I go where people see the change? People see where what I do is valuable. And so if I was to go to an HR consulting or an HR, like SHRM, if you all know what that is, meeting, and talk to a bunch of HR professionals, and I specify what I do and how it helps them, that would be far more beneficial for me in promoting the hypnotherapy portion and talking about emotional intelligence at work. So we need to get more strategic in where we're showing up. And then that way, when you're presenting your offers, and your offers can be more tailored, and then your price, quite a beautiful thing. And guess what? Suddenly business gets a whole lot easier. because I want to give you permission today to shine your brightest, your boldest, and to know that business doesn't have to be hard. What is really hard about business is when you're trying to follow someone else's template of success. What is really hard when you're sitting there doubting yourself all day. What is really hard when you're second guessing yourself and you don't have a plan. At that point, you don't feel like a magnet. So if you're wanting to become a magnet, you have to be really clear about what you're calling in. Now, let's switch over and let's go into manifestation mode for just a moment. The same thing applies. When you get super, super clear about what you want and give yourself permission to ask for exactly what you want, what happens is you tend to start going, no, actually, I want it more specific. Like, do you want sprinkles on your ice cream? Well, yeah, but only if they're the red ones. Maybe it's the chocolate ones. And yeah, but I would also like it in this. And allow yourself to dream bigger. Allow yourself to dream bolder. Allow yourself to dream more specific about what it is you want. Now, as we get more specific, it doesn't mean that we are pushing away. So same thing when it comes to niching, doesn't mean that we're pushing away the other opportunities. I had a friend once, she said, she was like, oh, I was daydreaming. And I was like, I want a personal driver and I want someone to drive me around. And then what happened is suddenly she had a friend who suddenly wanted to drive her around. And did she turn that away because it wasn't a personal driving service? No, she saw the opportunity and she went with it. And so we have to get super specific about what we want. Allow it to show up in a slightly different way. So like, maybe you wanted to call in an HR person in the manufacturing world and instead you got HR in healthcare, and guess what? You still got the job or got the contract. You still got to do the thing. And then you got there and suddenly it opened up doors, and before you know it, you were also in manufacturing and teaching, you were training at manufacturing. So allow yourself to get specific, but also allow yourself to step into the opportunities. And all of this starts with the thing that we were talking about on day one. What do you really want your business to be, to do? Can you dream bigger? Can you dream bolder? Because I do love the 10X mindset. So 10X easier than 2X. It's a book. It's not the most fun read, but it's a very enlightening read or listen if you like audiobooks. And it talks about how really truly like we are spinning our wheels and spending so much energy trying to keep up and do these little things that if we were to dream bigger, dream bolder, and instead of setting a goal of like, I'm going to sell $21 things to 20 people, what if you sold $21,000 things to this other group of people? Guess what? You spent the same amount of energy. Well, actually, you probably spent less energy. And I know that's a hard concept to understand sometimes, but it's actually easier to sell the bigger things sometimes if you have a specific group of people that really want what you have. So this is where I really, really need you to have extreme clarity on what you're asking for. Now, if you do need help daydreaming, I really am good at this. I'm really good at helping people think bigger, getting out of survival mode and getting into abundance mindset. I love it. I could do it all day long. And guess what? I love helping people see that it's also easier. So I would love to help you out in this arena. Okay. So your today's homework is to write out 10 headlines, 5 to 10 headlines, speaking to the specific problem of your audience. I want you to talk really specific to them. I also want you to look at what your dream is for your business and how big it can get. And I want you to think bigger. If you need help thinking bigger, I want you to write big in the comments. I'm going to send you a DM. We're going to have a DM chat and like voice chat like this. And I'm going to ask you what your dream is. And I'm going to encourage you to think bigger. And sometimes I plant ideas that you might not thought of. Sometimes I just go, okay, and what if you were to double that? And what if you were to make a mission? And do you have a mission statement and how you're going to have an impact and a ripple effect on the world? If not, I really want to help you inspire to have that, because as you have a mission, you get to invite people on your mission, and people will want to support your business even more. Tell me a business right here in the chat. Tell me a business that has an amazing mission that you like to support. And if you can't think of one, I want you to go look it up, like businesses that have great missions. And if you have a mission statement, I want to hear that too in the chat. Let yourself be visible. Start showing up. And as we end today, you have to allow yourself to take up space. It is not a confidence thing. It is not an ego thing. And if you have a strong mission, it becomes even easier to take up space because it's not about you. It's not coming from ego. It is coming from this point of, I need to further this mission. This mission needs to get out. I need to make this impact. It's less about the I, but more about the mission. That I'm here to help others. Helping others to see and realize their potential is the bigger factor. So no longer I care, like today I don't have any makeup on. Don't care if I'm showing up with no makeup in my car, because guess what? I'm here to help you. It's not my mission. It's not all about me. It's a mission that I'm on, and other people are on similar missions too. Great. Now I can go collaborate with people who are on similar missions as well. So allow yourself to go bigger. Allow yourself to really just be in it and stop overthinking it. Allow yourself to be open. Allow yourself to be full of love and abundance, and allow yourself to just do it without overthinking, because that overthinking is what's causing a lot of the resistance. All right. I want to see your questions. I want to see your comments. Let's get cooking. It's time to make it rain tomorrow. Tomorrow we are doing the activation, and tomorrow we're going to start taking some action. We've got all this planning done. We've got all this motivation rooted in us now. And if you've done each day, if you've showed up for each day, then you are ready. I want to hear about these offers. I want to hear about these missions. If you need help, you need to comment, help me, in one of the chats. Make sure I'm tagged, and I will get in the DMs, and we are going to make sure that you are starting to make it rain for your business like this week. Okay? Let's start making this happen. There's no more excuses. You either have excuses or you have change. Which one do you want? Can't have both. Okay? All right. I'll see you later.